Good afternoon. This is Atmospheric Alex here, back with another tropical weather outlook and discussion. And yeah, I know what you're thinking. We're back to the tropics again. I thought by now we'd be able to maybe forecast fall, forecast winter. I haven't been able to even make a winter forecast yet because of how active these tropics have been. Well, here we go. Yes, there is definitely a chance for development in this area. It has gone down a bit since yesterday. Hopefully this stays the same. Oh, before we get started with everything here, wanted to take a quick little look here at Major Hurricane Kristy, which is currently ongoing out there in the eastern Pacific. And you can see, look at this powerful structure I had yesterday. Look at that eye there. I was trying to line it up with the imagery there. She did become a powerful Category 5 hurricane yesterday afternoon. Now, luckily she isn't impacting anyone, threatening anyone. This is extremely good news as it stands. We just get to marvel at wonderful Kristy out there as she is spinning really rapidly and has quite the pretty eye, as we have seen yesterday. Okay, now you're probably wondering, well, Alex, you're clearly not telling the truth at all. The National Hurricane Center says there's no tropical activity. And, well, that's not exactly true. I mean, there is a lot of uncertainty right now as to whether or not something's going to form. I'm pretty sure by tonight or tomorrow, National Hurricane Center will likely be marking an area, at least a 10% chance down here, more than likely, where we could be seeing some tropical development. It is a big question mark whether or not we'll see something major or not, and we'll get to that later in the video. Now, of course, this wouldn't be a tropical weather update without looking at the ocean heat content, and this is ridiculous. This is absurd. 170 to almost 200 units. Okay. Is it really still September? No, it's mid-October, even late October now. This is ridiculous. We need something over here that can form, that could upwell all of this water out of the way and return us back to normalcy, because we cannot be having this deep of warm water concentration here across this area of the Caribbean. So this is ridiculous. If a storm were to form here in pristine environment, all right, in a pristine environment with this much ocean heat content, it's going to explode. We need to be very cautious with what we're looking at here. And this is a crude reminder that hurricane season is not over yet. It's not over. We still have another month to go. Might even be more than a month as we take a look at our water temperatures. Wow, 30 degrees Celsius still. Talking about mid to almost upper 80s across those areas. Is it ever going to cool off? Come on. Of course, heat does get stored down here a lot more efficiently, as there's not as many cold fronts that try and dig down. They stay up here where they should be. But still, just come on. Get these warm waters out of our face. This is getting crazy here. Alright, anyways. Alright, now we're going to take a look at our 10-day GFS model here. Please be cautious as we head towards the end of the period, as it could get kind of uncertain. We see a bit of energy here trying to rotate off of South America. Portions of Central America too, like Nicaragua in there. You could see something really tries to get going, and whether or not it does is a huge question mark. Talking about tropical depression, maybe a tropical storm forming down there. Not in the proper area, though, of what you would call the Central American gyre that has been displaced into the Caribbean. You need this system to form more towards the center, and thus, because it's not, we see it getting wildly swung around this low pressure system really quickly here and battling intense wind shear and some dry air as it stands. But this model in particular shows a high-end tropical storm going straight into Dominican Republic. I'm pretty sure that there is Haiti. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. But this will potentially, again, potentially, I cannot stress that enough, move on through. and deliver some impacts. A lot of upslope flow. Flooding may be a big concern across the Caribbean islands, all right? It doesn't take a tropical system to cause significant impacts. And if you see a constant southerly flow across this area, cities and towns that are along the coastline, the southern coastline, will receive tons of rainfall and some flooding. Be very cautious there. This potentially swings up and around. I'm not even going to take you 10 days out. This already seems unreliable as it is. But you can see your gyre does begin to move up further off to the north and east, getting carried by a trough forming up here and trying to dig as well. Kind of a complicated forecast that we need to monitor. And here's your wind shear forecast here by the GEFS, the ensemble. You could see, look at this, just ripping here. Gosh. 60, 70 knots of shear ripping across the Gulf into the northern Caribbean, parts of the southwestern Atlantic. This does go away once this gyre system moves through. And you could see for where your system forms or could form, honestly, not a terrible environment, but I have seen a lot better this hurricane season, e.g. Helene for a great example there. And Milton. We're seeing 15 to 20 knots of shear. This is likely underdoing it a bit because it is a low resolution model and can't fine tune the details. So 20 to 30 knots of shear if it develops in this unfavorable corridor here. So it's going to be very hard to predict this thing, and you could see as we go to the 10-day mark, it kind of just gets shredded apart. So we'll just have to wait and see. Again, development chances have gone down a lot since yesterday. That is the great news. Moisture content here. Do we have any moist air? At first we do. You could see it forming in a very favorable environment. But as we go through, you can see some of the dry air, continental dry air, wrapping into the western edge of it. Even some of it punching through a little bit there in your south side, your east side, kind of choking your system out, if you will. It's a kind of a good way to think about it, right? As we go back through our panels here, yes, you do in fact have a very favorable ocean heat content and sea surface temperature background here. You have somewhat of an okay wind shear background here. It could definitely be a whole lot better, but could also be worse. And for your moisture content, I don't know about that. It's just very uncertain right now. You notice how we only have one check mark there through those panels. So really, I don't really see this thing having some big potential like I thought, say, yesterday, but we'll just have to wait and see. Now we're going to take a look at our individual ensemble members here and the stamps that they are putting out here. This is the GEFS ensemble. You can see, yeah, you definitely do have a little bit of development now here. It looked a lot worse yesterday. The entire Caribbean was painted orange, so this is a lot better today. And you could see a lot of lower end scenarios there showing that this thing could be strung out and could be choked out as well by wind shear and dry air. And, you know, you do have a couple of intense members. You have a 47 here. That is roughly a Cat 3, Cat 4, but please do not be trusting one individual member. You should know this by now. That's not the way to go. And you see other hurricane members as well in there. Just please take that with a grain of salt. We have a lot of questions to be answered over the next, about, I'd say, week or so. Do know, so there are some that stay down here and kind of move out this way. Some that go closer to Cuba and move up towards this way. There is some, too, that go towards Florida. I want to emphasize really quick, this is just a model. This is not a forecast, all right? So people in Florida, do not get worried about it yet. You should always have just some stuff on standby just in case. You know how this season's gone for you so far, but I don't know how much stock I'm putting into those yet. We'll have to wait and see. Like I've said about 20 different times this video, your GEPS model here, this is your Canadian ensemble, and as we take it out through time, come on, cut, development, hello, no. So, like I said, some models aren't even showing a blip forming out there, so, again, Wind shear, dry air are your factors. You do have an area of lowered pressure here from your gyre. This, again, that is your main focus. That is your cyclonic flow that could begin to try to develop tropical activity off of it. In your EPS model here, again, another ensemble, your European ensemble this time, and jeez. Come on. Okay, we have a couple of members here. It's still not all that impressive, though. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to have to change my thumbnail. I'm going to remove that red box that says massive potential. And just, yeah, we're probably not going to see that. But don't get too complacent on this. Just please keep an eye on this. Check the National Hurricane Center daily if you can, just to be aware of the situation. Is a major hurricane member, please don't put any stock into that. Just don't. You can see just some stuff kind of bubbling up after that too. I'll continue to watch that as well. Now, what happens after that? Perfect segue, right? I didn't even intend this to happen. We have an area of rising air that is propagating back into the Atlantic again. And this is your European model, well, your empirical wave propagation model over the next month or so. You can see by early November, your green colors starting to come back, especially by mid to late November. That is a lot of green, a lot of rising air that is going to be infiltrated here into the Gulf, the Caribbean, and, if dare I say it, portions of the main development region, which should be closed by that point, hopefully. So that is what we're seeing here. But since we are entering November, you're probably not going to see your intense systems unless they're down in your southern and southwestern Caribbean, like Iota and Eta back in 2020. Now, before I close off the video, because we've been going on for a little bit, I want to take a look at your synthetic aperture radar winds. Sounds complicated. This is your high resolution wind field for Major Hurricane Christy here. As we go through time, you can see this thing forming up quite nicely here. And look at yesterday. I'm actually going to scroll down a couple pixels. Look at that. Look at your eye wall here. Over 100 knot winds. Actually, I think we are approaching 135, 140 knots, aka 160 miles an hour. What an intense storm she was yesterday. And my goodness, good thing, or hopefully no one was out there fishing or in ships. And as she continued, she underwent an eyewall replacement cycle here. Cool how you could see it from this animation. Take a look at that. Here we are today. She is not feeling so well. Probably getting just kind of bored of being out there. Sea surface temperatures are a lot colder now, so she is starting to struggle. And I'm sure there's some wind shear as well getting to the system as well. That being said, thank you so much for tuning in to today's video. If you enjoyed it, please smash the like button and subscribe to my little corner of the weather community if you want to. It's not required, but I'd highly recommend it. And share this video with your family and friends on social media so you can help me get the word out. And feel free to ring the notification bell icon to stay updated and know when the next video comes out. That being said, thank you all so much for tuning in, and I'll see you some point this week, hopefully, and you have a wonderful afternoon and evening.